roughy, which are sold as deep-sea perch. Before long, the orange roughy and this food for the giant squid will be gone. On Clyde's next research trip, he and a crew from Discovery Channel used a manned submarine, the Deep Rover. The sub explored an underwater canyon off the coast of New Zealand, where another favorite food of the giant squid lives, the hookiefish. Sperm whales know that too. Young sperm whales go there to gorge on giant squid and other kinds of deep-sea squid. Clyde figured that the giant squid might be attracted to the bioluminescent light given off by the most deep-sea animals. So he draped the sub with light sticks, like those that trick-or-treaters carry on Halloween. A pilot inside the tiny sub maneuvered the Deep Rover. Continual images from several video cameras beamed back to Clyde in the ship's control room as he watched expectantly. Clyde's team saw blue-green bioluminescent light show from many deep-sea creatures, but the giant squid remained hidden. However, with each new expedition, Clyde learned new things about the squid's predators and squid prey. He learned about the giant squid's ecosystem, the area that it lives in and all it contains, and all of these findings provided more and more clues to solving the secrets of the giant squid. The New Zealand ship that carried him off to the coast of New Zealand. Clyde sits in a small submarine, the Deep Rover, shortly before it descends to the deep waters where the giant squid lurks. The Deep Rover carried several video cameras, both inside and out, ready to capture a giant squid on film. Discovering more about the deep sea ecosystem can tell us about squid and, more importantly, the future of the giant squid. Fishing boats drag heavy nets across the ocean floor and destroy the habitats of many bottom-dwelling animals that the giant squid depend on for food. Clyde worries that the ocean food web is threatened by overfishing. If the food supply of the giant squid disappears, this in turn will take away a main food source of the sperm whale. Clyde shared his findings with others who study the giant squid. A small group of scientists called the tryptologists, though they spread all around the globe, they are bound together by their passion for the chief. Clyde and his colleagues had to find a way to let the world know about the giant squid. They hoped more people would care about the giant squid if they could see one living peacefully in its natural habitat. They wanted to show the world that these monsters are fascinating creatures vital to the ocean environment. How to have a healthy ocean. Cephalopods, said Clyde, are a great example of biodiversity. This is because, as a group, they are spread all over the world, from shallow tropical reefs to the great depths of the ocean. A squid from Maine will look a lot like a squid from California, but they are slightly different because of their different habitats and living conditions, enough so that they will not be able to mate and have offspring. They are known as different species. Preserving this fascinating variety of life is important for keeping all life in the oceans healthy, Clyde says. And this is a long-finned squid found off the coast of Maine. It's a popular species used in preparing calamari. Taking the bait. A Japanese doctor of zoology, Tsunami Kidora, continues to search using Clyde's documented evidence that the sperm whales led to the giant squid. Dr. Kidora chose to study an area off the Japanese coast where sperm whales come to feed each year from September to December. He programmed a camera to take a flash picture every 30 seconds and attach it to a long fishing line. Hooks on the line were baited with chopped shrimp and squids in hopes of luring a giant squid into the camera range. They lowered the fishing line into the deep and waited and waited. Here's the diagram. It's not to scale, but it's a deep sea camera used baiting fishing line to lure the giant squid. He made 23 trips over 3 years to the area and repeated the experiment. Finally, a giant squid grabbed the baited hook. For 4 hours, the captured squid twisted and turned. Sometimes it attacked the bait. Other times it pulled away trying to escape. The camera took 556 underwater images of the squid before it managed to break free, leaving a tentacle 18 feet, 5.5 meters long, embedded on the hook. When the team brought the tentacle on board, the large suckers grabbed on the deck of the boat and then onto Kibidora's fingers. Two of the hundreds of underwater photos show this giant squid struggle to free itself from the hook. The images, though fuzzy because they were enlarged, are thrilling to see as they capture a historical moment in ocean science. The squid's 18-foot tentacle caught on the hook. These first photographs of a living giant squid were released in 2005. Clyde celebrated along with the rest of the squid world. Examining the photos, Clyde saw that a giant squid is far more active than anyone had expected. Despite its huge size, it was not a sluggish creature waiting for food to come near. It made Clyde recall his encounter with another aggressive hunter, the Humboldt squid. Why didn't the giant squid leave circular scars on the scientists? The scars on sperm whales are made by a giant squid fighting to avoid the gill swallows during a fierce but short battle for survival, which the squid usually loses. The giant squid that Caballero captured was caught in about 3,000 feet, 9 meters of water, and it dragged the heavy camera rig and camera all the way up to 2,000 feet, 600 meters, before it broke loose. By the time the snag tentacle broke off and the squid escaped, it must have been pretty exhausted, calamari, said Clyde. The squid latched on to Caballero's fingers, but it didn't have the strength to cause harm. 2 years after the photos, another breakthrough. His team recorded the world's first video of a live giant squid. They caught the squid at the depth of 2133 feet, 650 meters, and hauled it to the surface. As the team worked to bring it on board, the thrashing squid fought against the fishing line and shot powerful jets of water through its funnel. These first-hand observations confirmed for scientists that the giant squid is indeed a strong swimmer and an active predator and a fierce fighter. And the first video footage of the living giant squid was taken. It was caught on a fishing line baited with smaller species of squid. Here's the doctor with the giant squid he captured to study. It's now on display at the National Museum of Natural History in Tokyo. The hunt continues. The world has learned so much about ocean life since Clyde's days of tracking snails on the beach, and his fellow pathologists have discovered and shared a great deal about giant squid and the other ocean mysteries. We know what giant squids eat. We know what eats them. We know more about how to find them. We know more about their distant and mysterious ecosystem. We know what they look like, alive and active. But there is so much more we need to know to find out about this legendary creature. We still know so little about its behavior and biology. Although Clyde Roper has retired from the Smithsonian, his determination to find a living giant squid continues because he has many more questions yet to answer. Do giant squids gather in huge groups to court and mate like some other squids do? Do they protect their eggs until they hatch as the mother octopuses do? Do they squirt ink? Is the ink bioluminescent? How strong are their arms and tentacles? Scientists hope someday to see at least one of the estimated millions of giant squids swimming, eating, courting, fighting, and just being itself in its home in the inky blackness of the deep sea. Clyde Roper often stops by the St. Hall in the Museum of Natural History to visit the male and female giant squid that are on display there. Encased in plexiglass, floating in a special liquid that preserves them for all to see, they almost seem like creatures from another planet. But Clyde knows better. Sea monsters are real, he says, and I have seen them. And here's the ones that are on display in the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. Could we keep a giant squid in an aquarium? Scientists would love to capture a giant squid to study it, but could we keep it alive in captivity? Richard Lerner, the curator of fishes at the National Aquarium in Baltimore, Maryland, doubts it. There are so many unanswered questions. Will it eat anything else in the tank with it? Will it accept dead food? Can it live in shallow water since it is used to the pressures of the deep sea? Giant squid live in very cold temperatures, so the chiller would have to be immense. Giant squid aren't designed to handle walls. If it tried to jet propel backwards, it would crash into the walls of the tank. There is no tank in the world that could hold it. And there we have the glossary. And if you want to explore further websites and books, And a note from the authors. The idea for this project was hatched when Clyde Roper graciously agreed to fly to Maine, in a snowstorm as it turned out, to give a talk to a group of marine educators. He granted many hours of interviews, shared his library of photographs, and enlisted more from a worldwide network of fellow photographers and illustrators with whom he collaborated. Many thanks are owed to Ingrid Roper, the keeper of the giant squid's archives, photographs, and the giant squid hunter himself. Thanks also to Michael Verjone of NOAA Systematic Laboratory at the Smithsonian Institution Museum of Natural History for reviewing the manuscript, and Jamie Ramsey and Rich Lerner, who patiently answered many questions about maintaining cephalopods in captivity. Thanks too to our editors and designs at Capstone Press, who encouraged and nurtured us throughout. Index with a picture of the author and Clyde Roper.